Some of our most savvy users at Render, and let's be honest, some of the most effective and efficient business owners understand that empowering your team to leverage all of your assets is an important strategy. Your team members know you, your business, and are creative with ideas. This webinar is focused on how to make your digital likeness more accessible and useful in the hands of your capable partners and associates. Speaking of partners, let me turn it over to my human counterpart, the real Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, to teach you more.
Well, hi, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us today. I am, in fact, the real Jill. You got to meet my avatar just a little bit ago. But it's my privilege to get to be here with all of you today. Happy Friday. And if you're watching it later, happy whatever day of the week it is, to talk to you about some really strategic ways to really kind of start to think about leveraging your team a little more in using your digital likeness. So everyone who's on the line live right now, please know that the chat is open for everyone for comments, for questions, for anything that you want to share. I see some people are just getting logged in, so thank you guys for coming. And for those of you watching after the fact, as I know schedules get very busy, please feel free to leave in comments in the comment section, as this recording will be up on the YouTube page. So I see a lot of familiar names coming in, so thank you guys for being here. So excited to have you. So also on the line, very exciting today, and he can maybe only stay for a little bit, maybe the whole thing. We'll see if something comes up. But Render's CEO and co-founder, John Toda, is going to be chiming in the chat too. So if you have any questions, of course, you can engage with him there throughout. So as your Chief Experience Officer here at Render, I get to do all the strategies, the use cases, the research, and fun webinars like this. And so what's really great about today is the focus on teams, because as you heard in the avatar video earlier, the most strategic and savvy business owners know that you have to leverage your team in order to do things well. But of course, when it comes to something as personal as your digital likeness, you want to make sure you're doing it in not only in a strategic way, but a secure way. And fortunately, we have things to make that happen at Render, and I'm going to walk you through some of those. So as I often do on webinars, just because it's so important, anything that you do when it comes to AI, you have to remember that AI outputs are only as good as human inputs. These webinars are designed to help you better leverage those human inputs to produce these better outputs. And from the perspective of why I personally love and saw the vision and the executableness of synthetic media, especially our custom avatars, our hyper-realistic avatars, is because these three factors, if I put my, Professor Jill geek hat on, these three factors really come down to what moves the needle in business, from more sales to more referrals to better customer loyalty and retention. And these factors have actually been studied in voter behaviors, in transactional purposes, and many other situations, education and learning. When we can personalize, customize, and provide choice in our communication and messaging to our clients, our potential clients, our users, our learners, we see better results. And hundreds of studies show this. But why don't we do this more often? Well, it's simple. Time. We can't be in more than one place at a time. And if we have 100 different customers, personalizing an individual video to 100 different people is going to take an astronomical amount of time if you're doing it as a real human. But as an avatar, obviously, that's when we can get some leverage. And in your business, and I know some of you on our avatar owners, and some of you are team members of people who own avatars of themselves as well. And no matter what the role, we know where we can move the needle in business. And sometimes your team members actually have a better insight on that than you do if you're the one out there executing. So that's why we wanted to make this webinar with that focus. So what's really important is to come up with a team strategy. And whether you have a team yet or not, start thinking bigger picture here on how you could leverage others to leverage and produce more and move the needle more with personalized and customized and different forms of media in your company's communication. We have the capability within RenderMe to authorize users to have access to your digital likeness. So I see a couple people on the line have a digital likeness right now, and a couple are actually team members that help execute on digital likeness. So again, any comments or questions, be sure to put those in the chat. But what this enables to do when you authorize users is it allows you to scale in different ways. And For me, if I'm honest, in my business, one of the things that I had a hard time doing is letting go of the control and having my own little ego block around it. Once I started doing this, it got a whole lot easier. So start getting aligned with whatever that strategy is for you. I want to walk you through just kind of a couple different steps that I really think of in coming up with these strategies. And then I'll show you some videos on how I've been executing them and how you can execute on them within RenderMe. So the first part about this here is to really plan your process. And so if you're the avatar owner on the line, think of it from that perspective. If you are a team member that helps someone on your team use their avatar, really think of how you have documented these things or not yet. So the first one is, and I always suggest, even though you can use custom avatars for so many different things, the most successful users that we have start with one idea, one function for an avatar video within their entire customer experience. For example, we have an amazing client, Justin Jones Vassau, who makes these videos, and his team executes on this flawlessly. And what he does is for potential meetings and leads in their whole pipeline funnel, gives a personalized video from his avatar, of course, stating that it's his avatar, and it's an introduction to him. And these are for cold leads, and they actually track the data and the follow through of where it's coming. They gave us permission to share this example, which is why I'm sharing it. And you'll actually see a blog post sent out to all of you featuring this soon as well. But what they did is they were smart. They had one specific function for the avatar video, executed on it. And of course, then they tested it and looked at data and stuff too over time. And they're still doing that, getting bigger and bigger samples. So we see them creating dozens of these every single month, going out to leads that are really good targets for their business. So a super, super smart strategy. Now they're looking at ways to expand this into other areas of their customer experience, but they were super smart and started with one. The next thing is documenting this process. Let's be honest, there's a lot in this world we can't control, and whether we will be healthy on any given day, or if someone has, a life issue, family issue, whatever it may be that comes up, if you have a well-documented process, you'll be able to hand this off to anybody on your team or in your behalf. And so even if you're working as part of a small team where maybe you're the only one currently using someone's likeness on their behalf or rendering content, still document this, because what if you're not available and your counterpart needs to do this, but can't do it as well as you do because they're not in the day-to-day using this technology? You really want to make sure you're documenting this well to leverage it to its maximum capacity. And then last but not least here, create training and execution guidelines and get to work, right? We really want to make sure this is a great process. And I, again, recommend doing this for kind of every different part of your business where you can see this playing a role. But again, as I really point out here, so crucially, start with one. The most successful users we have are honed in on a specific use case. They go to town on it. They get their efficacy in it. They feel comfortable with it. They start measuring it, getting feedback, etc. And boom, they're ready to go after that. Let me show you what this looks like within the application to authorize users. And especially if you are working on a team that has multiple avatars, I want you to see what this looks like kind of behind the scenes. I'm going to annotate, there's no volume on here, and walk you through it. Of course, we have two-factor sign-in authentication for everything. But you can see there on the screen, selecting the identity. John and Moki, my business partners, we can all use each other's. Then once you're on your page, you go to View Profile. All those options there. At the very bottom left-hand side of your profile, and you can see mine is robust and filled information. So if you or your teammate does not have that information filled out, please make sure you put it in there. And then what you'll do to add that user is type in, of course, a valid email and a phone number there, and then you'll click on invite, and an invitation will be sent. So no longer for that one-time passcode do you have to use your phone number. So let's say your team member's like, hey, Jill, I'm going to make an avatar video now. Are you able to give me an authorization code? No, you don't need to go through any of that. Authorize someone to render on your behalf. You can put their number in and then they get it. So they're able to do it and you're not becoming a bottleneck in the process. So I know a couple people on the line, and I know a couple who will be watching actually have it where they just sign in under the avatar owner's account. But this is a huge reason to make it more efficient and more effective to be able to go through and get an authorized user account that is then paired with someone else's likeness. And again, that initial part of the video you saw, and I'm just going to play it again one more time just after the login to again see the initial video. If you had multiple avatars, that's where you'd see the drop down. Otherwise, if you were authorized, boom, the avatar that you're authorized to use is just going to show up right there in that account. So you're not going to have to worry about that. The next step when you're doing this is now we have people authorized. The next thing that is important to do, and again, this is one of the strategies that our most savvy and successful users are doing. This is something that I do honestly not as well as I probably should, but I do it with the pieces of my avatar that I have other people execute on my behalf. But I'm getting so much better at documenting it because we have some great new functionality that this documentation is really going to be good for coming out. And I'm going to give you a little peek of it right now. So this next step is creating the scripts. And this is something that I feel as team members who work with owners of digital likenesses and owners of avatars, you're often the ones on the front line, the first responders, if you will, of communication with potential clients. You get the vibe, the feel, you know the questions that people are coming in for. So this is a really great chance to show some of your creativity, let that shine, get that in there in this creation process. So once you kind of have your workflow started from that step one, you've gotten one and you're ready to go, what I would do is set a meeting with everyone that is involved or could be involved to list all the potential applications. So now we assume you're up and running, you have your one use case that you are just rocking and rolling on. Now it's time to brainstorm and get bigger together. So set up a meeting to list all the potential applications. And if you're doing this and you want me to sit in on the call or help you facilitate it or pitch questions to your team, that's what I'm here for. You can schedule a 20-minute strategy session with me at any point in time through the link in my email. Or if you want that link and don't have it, put it in the chat and I'll make sure to get it to you before the webinar is over. And I'll put it in the description on the recording in YouTube as well. With this, you set that meeting and then just kind of have this massive brainstorm. Have it be fun. A really good way to get people involved and to get ideas you may not otherwise get alone. Then what you're going to do once you've had that list out, create the goals for each piece of communication, each video that you're going to do. And of course, you've heard me talk about tracking and looking data and everything like that. Yes, measure those as well. I'm not going to get into that level of nerdiness on this call today. But then the third step here is, of course, drafting scripts into a shared file to use in multiple different use cases. So what you're going to do is kind of set up this repository, if you will, this shared space where now you have a brainstorm list of all these potential applications, the goals that you have for them, and then a script. You could even set it up as kind of like a 3-column table if you would, and be able to do that. And again, get people collaborating and executing on that together. So when I talked about a hint at some functionality that we are adding in, and you're actually going to see if you're a current user, a brand new release coming this month of the application. It's Moki Goyle, our Chief Product Officer, and his team have been behind the scenes working so hard to get this new release out. It's a little more streamlined. It's a lot more sexy, biased opinion, but I think everyone will like it. The same type of process will go into it, but it'll just be a better user experience. Then the next thing on the radar is what we call batch render, which is the subject of next month's webinar as well. Spoiler alert. But here's what this might look like in the scripting world. So I have set up just kind of a blank team scripts file here, but I want you to look at what I've done with this. So I've already drafted this script. I just highlighted it there. And I'm going to separate it out by sentences just because I think that makes it easier to read. So y'all can kind of read along with it there. But you'll see these brackets with var_1. Var stands for variable. And this is a script that I might create for a potential new client meeting. The real Jill, I always like to say it's my avatar right away, is excited to meet with you. And then, what is this first variable? So variable 1 in this case would be the first name of the contact, whatever that may be. If you don't have a first name, it's a cold lead, maybe it's an organization name. So variable 2, to talk about her new program on, well, then you insert the name of whatever program is going to be relevant to this pitch that you're making to try to get people to set up meetings. Then you can also go into, this will be the perfect fit for variable 3. So that in that case would be if I was trying to get this as a speaking gig, a name of an organization or an event. And then of course, variable 4, VAR underscore 4, right there is what is kind of the goal of that, right? So you can see here how personalized we are getting. It's not just, hey guys, look, I have this new program or a new speech coming out. It's, I'm excited to meet with you personally. This specific program I feel is going to be a fit for this specific event because it will help you meet this goal. And then I'm going to follow up with you on this date, whatever it may be. Then what you're going to do, and this is how you can start thinking for this new release that's going to be coming pretty soon, as it says at the end, put this into a CSV file. So if you have the name of the potential client, you can just put all these things in rows and columns in a CSV file that call variable 1, variable 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you have this data in order, what batch rendering is going to allow you to do. And I think from a team's perspective, this is just so incredible. And when I found out about this technology in, gosh, 2021 now, when I got my first avatar, I said, when this is going to be able to work like a mail merge. And I was thinking way back in the day when you used to have to get like for Christmas cards, holiday cards, you got the letter sticker paper that you put in your printer and you had to like do 5 tests of it to make sure they all aligned right. But then you click the button and bam, the mail merge filled out all those address labels for you. I said, wow, when the technology can be at that point, we are going to be able to change the game in personalized and customized communication. And ladies and gentlemen, like we are here. This is in development now and will be released soon. So in terms of leveraging the team's potential in a business to really create personalized and customized communication at a scale that we've never been able to do before, this is where it's at. So start thinking and brainstorming how you may want to use this and how this can even get automated in a lot of your workflow. Maybe, for example, once you start thinking through scripts, and why I wanted to show it in this way now is as you're thinking through scripts, you can also be thinking through what data do you need to collect on your intake form, on your calendar scheduling link. I use Calendly, so I just said Calendly. But like on this link, what pieces of data do you need to collect in order to make these customized videos? And so you'll have to be strategic about scripting in that way. Again, once we start rolling this out and we're playing with this, and if you want to start creating scripts like this in advance of that rollout, again, that's what I'm here to help with. All of this education, it's the favorite part of what I get to do. So hopefully not only you can tell my excitement about it, but will use me as a resource as you are really now exponentializing your potential in your business, not only through technology and through your team, but the power of those combined is going to be so meaningful as we move forward. For those people newer to this space, just an FYI also, there are 3 other webinars recorded on the YouTube channel. I will send the link out to everyone, not only here, but those who registered who couldn't attend. And I'll put the YouTube channel link in there too. So if you want to know, if you're newer to this space, more information on not only use cases, but the scientific research behind how people actually interact and engage with avatar videos, all of that is covered in previous trainings that we've had. These 30-minute power webinars once a month. The last step here that I'm going to talk to you about, just a couple of things in here, is really on empowering and executing. And so whether you are the avatar owner on the call right now or listening in, or a team member, these are things that you can bring to your colleagues to really start to maximize the potential here. So first step is really getting your team on board and assigning whatever rendering roles. So if you have multiple team members, maybe one team member is focused on scripting and rendering for potential clients. Maybe one is working on scripting and rendering for existing clients, or maybe there's a special campaign and there's a third person, or maybe you are the right hand, the left hand, the all things of all trades, Jill of all trades, as I like to say, or Jack of all trades, to your avatar owner, and you're going to do all of these things. Whatever it is, get that clear delineation and get people on board understanding. I have tons and tons of tutorials on how to use the application, how to render videos, submit new orders, design your profile page, use landing pages, all of these different things, especially landing pages with call to action buttons and trackable links, all included automatically in your Render Me subscription. So please become aware of these. And if you're not aware of any of these, put it in the chat. I'll get you direct links again before the end of this call. And again, we'll put more resources on our pages as things develop. Next, I really encourage this. If you have a bigger team, this is a great way to do it. But if you have a smaller team, you can also do this as well with different types of incentives. But have awards. I think it's so much fun when I will get user groups together and ask them to come and give me what are their best, most successful, most creative use cases. And some they let me share publicly, others they don't. But it's really fun to generate those and see what is possible. And that kind of creativity really helps move the needle. And if you find that there is a way you want to use the custom likeness, the custom avatar, and the system isn't allowing it right now, come to me. Let's talk about that. So not only can I maybe put something in the development channel, but if not, I have a lot of workarounds for a lot of things to make them pretty efficient. So again, here to help from that angle. And then last but not least on this slide, and this is where I will geek out a little bit, create a way to track the data. Are videos being opened? Are they being viewed? Do you have sales coming from them? Do you have follow-up clicks? Do you have calls? Whatever it is you're trying to achieve, way back to when I talked about what's the goal, how are you going to measure it, etc. Really look at this so you can start documenting it and seeing where it's moving the needle. What I love about this technology at the price point is for most people and most businesses, if you get one client from one of the videos, it pretty much pays for your entire year of having access to this technology. So tracking that data, it's really empowering for a number of different reasons. And for me personally, this is way before I even became a partner in the company when I was using it. And the price point was a lot higher then than we have it now, like yay technology development. I was using it and I'm thinking, okay, I just got to find a way to get one customer because of this that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and scale myself that way. And sure enough, it worked. So really having that power and tracking that data is really useful from many different strategies, but especially from understanding where you're getting the most bang for your buck in leveraging this technology. This next slide I want to show you, it's very exciting. And as people who have teams and who are growing teams, one of the things that we've done at Render is also expand our team to certified studio partners. And now, for those of you who are early birds in adopting this technology, like we'd have maybe one studio event per month and it was in one location. And if you couldn't make that day, you couldn't get the avatar captured. And now we have, as you can see, 10 different cities across the country and growing almost every week right now, but for sure every month, where if you need an additional avatar, you can get that much more easily. You can get that captured. And I put this here not only because we're excited about it at Render, but also to say, as you're thinking through the strategies that you might want to use a digital likeness for, sometimes there is a strategy in having different looks and feels. Most people start off with one avatar, which makes complete sense. But there's others then that have multiples. We have a dentist, for example, who's a client who has like a nice collared shirt avatar, but then also has one in a white, a dentist doctor jacket, whatever the technical term is, lab coat, whatever it is. And the white professional thing with the embroidered name. He has one with that. They're used in very different situations in the business. So if there is some strategy for adding another likeness on, the way it's built, we just build it right into your account, but now you can get this footage captured in 10 different cities on demand. So it's really about your schedule and your location and availability, which is a super cool feature that we're very proud of, but it really, again, gives you, as people who are not only leveraging digital likeness either for your own behalf or on behalf of others, a lot of different ways to think creatively on how you might want to use this technology moving forward. So with that, we are about 4 minutes from the official end of the half hour. I like to leave some time for anyone who wants to come on and ask questions to do so. I'm going to stop the recording in a minute, but I want to say thank you guys for being here live. That QR code takes you to all those new on-demand appointments that I just showed you. And of course, there's much more information on that page about Render if you need more. But please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions at all. So what I'm going to do now, thank you for those not only live, but who listened afterwards, stop the recording to take the requests of people that come in. And for those watching the recording, don't forget to put any questions you have in the comments.